Hey everybody, I thought I would give a little walkthrough of the home theater as it stands right now. This has been a project since I moved. I had this spare bedroom and I've just transformed it into a theater slash practice area for bass. And this is how it is right now. I do have I'm kind of on step 2 of my 3-step plan to completely black the room out. So I have carpet on order that should be here in a few weeks, and then I have velvet to black out the remainder of the ceiling too. But right now, I'm using an ultra short throw with a 135-inch screen. It's a Vava Chroma 4K triple laser projector. It's okay, but I don't exactly recommend it because the firmware is sort of not quite where they said it would be about a year ago. There's a projector called the 4Movie 4K triple laser projector that I would recommend instead, unless you need 3D, since the Vava does 3D. Not extremely well, but it does it. But let me just walk through. I'm using all Klipsch Reference Premiere series speakers, so sort of middle range, I guess, upper middle range. Got the, I forgot what brand makes this screen. 135-inch screen. I have the lights on right now, so it's going to look terrible, but I'll show what it looks like in a minute with the lights down. I am doing Atmos 5.2.2, so I have 5 kind of bass level speakers, and then 2 height speakers up here, which are big old Reference Premiere 600Ms. And then I have 2 subwoofers. I have a Genelec, I think that's a 4050C, and the big HTS4, or HT4S, one of the two, down here. That's a recent pickup, and I'm going to be recapping that probably later today. But as you can see, what I have around the side of the room is, this is a recommendation from my friend Alex, and he works for Dolby. And what he said to do was to put on tracks soundproofing. And I did that, and I got the Vocal Booths to Go Black Magic soundproofing blankets in the back, and then I put black velvet up in front, and then I punched rivets in it, and I put it on a track going all the way around the room. And that's really nice because it can transform back into a regular room, you know, if somebody came to visit or something like that. I've got my Ashley furniture. This is Black Friday. There was like 2-for-1 deal, so we've got one of these in the basement and one up here, the kind of triple recliner. And the rear speakers are never going to be ideal in this room just because of the weird, it's kind of a nook, so it's not exactly straight across. So that's the best really that you can get here, is the way I've got it, without mounting them up, shooting down, but that's not really to spec. So, and then you can see I sort of mix up every week or two. I'll rearrange and put out different kind of movie memorabilia. I've got right now, it's my lightsaber, which I use for Halloween. I've got a shredder here, and then the space jockey, one of my cool statues. I got a couple of, got a Dilophosaur and a Styracosaurus head here, which I had seen the Styracosaurus for sale when I went to Universal Studios in their Jurassic Park area. I thought this thing was really cool, but they wanted like $300 or $400 or something for it there. So I came home and ordered it off eBay from China. I think it was $90 shipped, but you can't get these anymore. They're done. The Dilophosaurus was also very cheap back then. Now it's pretty expensive because they just don't sell anymore. I've got a legitimate Dolby Digital auditorium plaque here. From the 90s, probably Jurassic Park era. Really like that. And then up here I've got I think probably Alien and Blade Runner are the 2 greatest movies ever made, up there with 2001: A Space Odyssey. So I've got some Alien memorabilia, and Freddy gloves back there. I have my Balrog up here, and a Super Shredder by NECA. Highly recommend that. It's really cheap too, like $50. This is the I think it's the black version, like a Walmart exclusive or something. And it's from the same line as the other shredder. And then my bass rig here, I completely rebuilt and upgraded the SVT from the 90s. That's kind of my baby. This is probably the nicest SVT of this era in the world, because I basically doubled the voltage for all of the capacitors in the whole thing, sometimes going over double. And my 60s trainer, YBA1, which I've had since I started playing bass, basically. And then here's a Ampeg Portaflex, I think 800 is the series, and I generally don't use this, but I got it in the case that I ever need to actually play somewhere, because this thing weighs almost 100 pounds. The trainer isn't super loud, so it wouldn't be good for playing. And I have an Avatar 4x10 down there. This is one of my basses, the one I've got out right now. It's a Fender made in Japan jazz bass from like 1982 or 1983, jazz bass special. It's really cool. And I wanted to do this walkthrough before I finish so that you can kind of see the stage where it's at now, before the black carpeting goes in. But let me dim the lights in here. Actually, I'll completely turn them off. And this probably won't give a great representation of the quality, but it's worth showing since I'm in here. Blade Runner, the intro is kind of, whenever I make changes to anything, I'll fire this up, and it's kind of my reference since I know it so well. And this movie is in Atmos, and in here, when you turn it up, it's just, with the two subs now, it's completely immersive. And although I am critical of the Vavachroma's firmware issues, it is extremely sharp since it's triple laser. I'm sure it's going to look terrible in the video, but it's probably as good as you can get for an ultra short throw outside of that 4-movie projector, which just came out. And I am extremely happy with it being 135 inches. You know, some people like really nice OLEDs. Those, of course, have way better blacks and just better all around. But this it makes you feel like you're in a theater because it's projected light against the wall. I think anybody with a spare room who's into movies should consider setting up home theater just because it's so cheap nowadays. You know, you can get a really nice projector for cheaper than you would pay for a TV. And if you had a big enough room, this thing could project up to 150 inches at 4K resolution. Yeah, so there you go. Oh no, I didn't show it all. So let's go take a look at the business end in here. So this, I haven't bothered organizing or routing any wires yet, just because everything is sort of static still. But this is where I keep all of the equipment. And I've got a Onkyo, like 6050, I think is the name of this. It's like a Costco version. It's okay, you know, middle end, I guess you would say. Shield TV Pro is the heart of everything I do, connected to Plex. And I ran Ethernet straight to my Ubiquity Dream Machine. So this is all that's hardwired into my network. I can stream 4K, no problem. Discs and everything. And then I've got kind of a gimmicky power supply here, which I got really cheap, and I just thought it looked cool. It probably is a glorified surge projector from what I understand. And then I also, this is where I sort of rotate in different props depending on my mood. Got stuff back here, big chap 3D model, which is painted and looks really cool. But I need to I want to get like a shield back for that, you know, like people hang shields on their walls with, or swords made out of wood, and I'll mount it on the wall. Got the Witch King and just some more random stuff back here. My home theater is villains only, so anything that's not a villain can't go in this room. So that's why you've got like another prop I highly recommend is forget which company makes this, but you can get this on Amazon for like less than $100. The T2, T800, sorry. And he's got his head open, so you could store whatever in there, your remote controls and stuff like that. And some people drill out behind the eyes and install LEDs in there, and he lights up pretty cool. But the way that it actually catches the light in here, makes it look like he has LEDs anyways. You probably can't see it in the video, but if you had like Terminator arcade game or anything like that, this would be or pinball machine, this would be the ultimate little topper for it. And yeah, no, that's everything. I've also got, to finish up the door, I have black moving blankets and then velvet, and I'm going to pad it with moving blankets, and then I'm going to put velvet on it to make it look like a theater door when I'm done. So that's really the goal in here. If you don't know, with a projector, you want it absolutely as black as possible. So I have velvet that's going to go across the wall here, and I'm going to put more sound blankets up and down on both sides, and then velvet that over too. And then I'll velvet probably halfway across the room right up to my lights here. Because I mean, I would do the whole ceiling in a perfect world, but I probably don't have enough velvet for that right now. Every little bit more black and darker that you go with a projector, the better the image gets. And every more bit of room treatment that you do, the better it sounds. So you could invest in really high-end speakers, but if your room isn't treated, you'd probably be better off with middle range speakers and just treating your room really well, which is what I've done. So it's absolutely silent when you go out in the hallway, which wasn't the goal, but that keeps everything from reflecting and bouncing around, and everything's really directional. It is set up using the sound system built into the Onkyo, which is like, you put a microphone up here where you sit, and it will adjust everything for that position. But then also everything is to the Dolby Atmos spec too, except for the center speaker is too low, but it has to sit there because the projector, if I raised it up at all, it blocks the light on the bottom from the projector. So I guess the center speaker is the only thing out of line. And one day, if I can find as nice of a center speaker that's thinner, I can upgrade to that, and then I'll be able to mount that up just under the lip there ideally. Or maybe I could have cut a hole into the wall back there and position the center back into the wall. This isn't an acoustically transparent screen, just because that's kind of the edge of my house, so I don't really know what's behind that wall. Some people do acoustically transparent screens, and then they put their left, right, and centers up actually behind the screen. That would be kind of the ultimate. But yeah, there was a new center speaker by Klipsch that's thinner, but I actually tried that out from Amazon and returned it because it's basically garbage compared to this older one that I have, the RC-62 version 2, I think is what this one is, and it's glorious. It wouldn't really do any good for me to show you how good the bass sounds in here if I turned it up, but you'll just have to take my word on that the subwoofers really crank it out in here. But anyways, yeah, thanks for looking around my room. I'll probably give you another update one day when I finish blacking this out, maybe in a few months, maybe sooner, who knows. But yeah, later.